Nope, there's the Enduring Ideal. It is on the stack. Today on Commander Replay, we check out this Ayula deck and see how we fare against two epic decks. Next on Commander Replay. The 2020 GoFundMe is active. If you want to do one-on-one deck reviews with me, or get one of your decks played on video, be sure to check out the link in the description below. Well, welcome back everyone, playing some Ayula Queen Among Bears today. Today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Self. Ended up taking the free mulligan that was a 0-lander Soul Ring hand, so easy mulligan, into this one that we kept, which is like fine. 2 lands, I'd feel much better if it had a 3rd land in it. Hopefully we catch that 3rd land. We just had a non-game where I tried to film with this deck where I drew 1 land in 5 turns, so that went poorly. And that was after like a mulligan to 5, and that was the best hand that I saw. It was bad times. Oh, there's a Soul Ring for opponent. Yep. We gonna be behind, and some boots. No, there's Soul Ring. We behind. We are behind into an Arcane Signet. So much mana. There's that 3rd land we need. Alright, I feel a little bit better about things. Mostly I'm still annoyed at Magic Online from the last game, but let's hide away. 2 lands. Yeah, we probably could have used those. There's a bear. It's not the best. Let's put the 4 Bears Blade under there. And we'll pass like that. So yes, we are playing Ayula Queen Among Bears, 1 and a green for a 2/2. Whenever another bear enters the battlefield under your control, choose one, put 2 counters on target bear, or target bear you control fights a creature you don't control. Pretty cool little bear commander. After playing enough bears, your team will get big, and you can fight a bunch of stuff, so gives you a little bit of board control. I've never really seen, like, the best builds of Ayula up to this point, but if you don't have a lot of removal, like in a kind of battle cruisery kind of setting, it can do some stuff. And it can be reasonably quick, too, in that it just gets big fast. And, you know, if you got to shoot something important, you shoot something important. People don't have their commanders in play, and that can cause problems for them, so yeah. Sprite Dragon coming into play for opponent. 1/1 Flying Haste. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Seems reasonable. Especially in Elsha. Yeah. There's a Blackblader Forge coming in for the Sisay opponent. Had given some thought to blowing up a Soul Ring with the Return to Nature, but I know what's coming in this game, and we're going to need to hold on to that Return to Nature. There's an Arcane Denial. That'll get rid of the Blackblader Forge. Down for that. As soon as we take our turn, I'll talk about what opponents are playing. Both opponents draw off of the Arcane Denial. We draw a bear. Let's play the Rogue's Passage, just in case of a wheel or something. Play Ayula, and pass the turn like that. And yeah, let's take a look at what our opponents are playing today. First up, we have 7 Deadly Sins piloting Riku of 2 Reflections. I believe this is going to be an epic Eternal Dominion deck. There's a Ristic Study. Eternal Dominion is the blue epic spell out of Kamigawa. And it says, search opponent's library for an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land. Put it onto the battlefield under your control, then that player shuffles. And they can no longer cast spells for the rest of the game. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get that going. Especially, it makes sense that they run Riku, because if you can double that ability, then you're going to have a much better time getting multiple permanents a turn. Seems really good. We're going to jump to the opposite side of the table. Champion Athune piloting Sisay Weatherlight Captain. And this is a revised version of the Kenrith epic Enduring Ideal deck that I played a few weeks ago. He's been tinkering with this lately and having a good time with it. So 2 epic decks at the table. The Sisay is going to be very enchantment based because of Enduring Ideal. So we'll see how those go. And then in the middle here, we've got Chris Camp piloting Elsha of the Infinite. This is going to be a non-infinite version of Elsha, just lots of value. And there's a Pyrite Spellbomb coming into play. That triggers a bunch of things. Sprite Dragon, Firebrand Archer, which they just got in, and a Ristic Study that 7 Deadly Sins had recently cast. Also some boots in play for the Riku. So yeah, I think our work's going to be cut out for us. As cool as Ayula is, I don't know that this deck necessarily has the tools to fight 2 epic decks. I'm just going to have to roll the dice on that. I'm not sure how I feel about our chances against Elsha either. Who knows? Maybe some cool things will happen, and that'll boost my confidence in our abilities a little bit more. But yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about 2 big spell decks against Ayula. We draw Pathbreaker Ibex, a card that I added. I'll talk about some changes in a sec. Let's play the Forest and just get this Nissa's Pilgrimage going. Also a card that I added. So there are apparently 6 bears that exist in paper that do not exist on Magic Online. So when I imported the deck, there were a bunch of extra deck slots. We're not able to pay for the Ristic Study right here. That did leave me a number of slots to play around with to add some stuff into the deck. In some ways, I think it's going to be a little bit of a blessing because In general, bears aren't very impactful. Like, they get better when you play Ayula, obviously, but casting a 2/2 doesn't, like, do that much to impact the board. So I filled the deck out with a little bit more ramp. We see this Nissa's Pilgrimage. I added a little bit more card draw, added, like, a Rishkar's Expertise, and maybe one or two other things. What else did I add to the deck? I added this Nev Disc just to have some kind of removal for stuff. Added the Pathbreaker Ibex for a little bit more finishing power. So added a few things to the deck just to kind of shore up some weaknesses that I think we were going to have. And so, I think we're in this weird spot now where if you want to play a tribal deck, your tribal commander needs to be really strong, or the tribe you're playing needs to be really strong. Bears aren't historically a strong tribe. Many of them have no abilities like this Runeclaw Bear. So when you're fighting against good stuff decks where just every card in the deck is meant to like really synergize quite a bit, that's a tough thing to keep up with. And for me, when I play decks like that, when I play quote-unquote bad tribes, especially like if you look at the spider deck that I played, because spiders are not a good tribe, each individual creature in the deck is not that impactful, which means I want to draw a lot of cards, I want to cheat a lot of them into play. Like Lurking Predators is really good for this type of stuff, because casting a single bear doesn't like change the entire landscape of the game generally. Sure, maybe you fight a Shieldred or something later in the game if things are going well, but in general, each individual creature not that impactful. So you want things that are going to allow you to be able to either draw and cast or free cast multiple creatures from your deck. So things that generate value. That's kind of how I view go wide tribal decks these days. Again, if each creature is not individually impactful, then you need ways to get many of them at a time. So that's kind of my motto for tribal decks. Kodak Shredder coming into play for opponent. Sprite Dragon swinging into the Riku deck. But anyway, yeah, so 30 creatures in a bear deck. I get it, you want a lot of bears, but at some point, you need other things too. Like, you need things that are going to find more creatures, draw lots of cards. So, for me personally, I would probably run 25, 26 bears and just get myself a little bit more of everything else. There's a Mirage Mirror. That seems like a great choice for the deck. Gives you something to do once you are epic. Also, there was no Soul Ring in the deck, so I added a Soul Ring. A lot of green players, or at least enough green players that I run into, don't run Soul Ring, and you should. If people talk about banning it, it means it's too good not to run. It is a crazy card. Not as crazy as Mana Crypt, but still pretty crazy. Very close. We draw a Vivian's Grizzly, another bear. Still a little ways away from really using that ability, so let's play the Forest right here. I want to get this Lifecrafter's Bestiary in because I'd like to start scrying soon. Into the Rhystic Study, yeah, they're just going to draw. Nothing we can do about that. Then I'm going to play the Runeclaw Bear. Don't have the green mana to pay, sadly. But hopefully next turn on whatever creature we cast. I'm going to put 2 counters on Ayula. Try to get it above the power toughness line so we can fight things successfully. It's a 4/4. And we'll poke into the Riku. Sisay's got open mana. I don't really want to mess with that. Elsha's got a little bit of open mana. Riku's tapped out. They've been drawing cards. Riku's in play. They can double any game action they take. It's pretty good. So they can have some damage. 27, 6 commander. Urban Evolution for opponent. And I think they mistapped. Oh no, they didn't mistap. They just don't have a second blue. Rough. Nature is lower for opponent, so getting some ramp going. Once again, not enough blue mana to double it. But opponent's got a lot of mana now, so if they find their epic spell, we'll probably be seeing it very soon. But anyway, yeah, because Champ's playing the Enduring Ideal deck, we're probably going to have to save this for a Sphere of Safety or Ghostly Prison type of card. Scry Temple for opponent. Opponent's going to crack a Renegade map, gets a land. Plays a Blackblade Reforged themselves. Yeah, those are pretty good. Trigger Sprite Dragon, Firebrand Archer, and Rhystic Study. 5/5 into Champ, it's a flyer. Champ down to 30. Champ now has a Wooburg stack. Let's see what he does with it. One thing that you can do, if you have enough power... Ooh, that's a Time Twister. Our hand will probably get worse. We had mostly gas, so we're probably going to find lands and ramp. It's not the best. Hopefully at least we find a few creatures and we can draw with the Bestiary. Unless, is this getting countered? They're going to Rift Sisay. I'm down for that. I am down for that. And I think they're going to activate Sisay in response here. Actually, it's still their main phase, so maybe it makes sense not to activate Sisay. They tap for a black. Because they're going to get a new hand, so might as well see what's in your hand. Because Sisay at 2 power, there's not a lot you can get. I think they said they have a 1 mana enchantment. Probably Oath of Nissa or something like that. Legion's Landing. Yeah, a lot of lands. A lot of lands right there. Hunter's Insight draws us cards. Down for that. Door of Destiny's reasonable. But a lot of lands. Lost Star enchantment removal also, which I think we're probably going to need. Parallel Lives, yep. Getting the token party. Getting set up for their tokens. Brings back to our turn. We're going to get the Scry with the Lifecrafter's Bestiary. All about that. It's a rampant growth. You know, I think we need the ramp, honestly, so let's keep that right there. Looking at our land count versus everyone else's land count, it's we're a little behind. We are a little behind. Play this Field of Ruin in case of another wheel effect. Play the rampant growth. We've got choices here, so we could pay for the Ristic Study and then play like Fecundity, which I think makes sense. I don't know that Hunter's Insight right here makes a ton of sense. Our hand still has a lot of stuff in it. Maybe we go Rampant Growth, Door of Destinies. Get a forest. Play the Door of Destinies. Door of Destinies, bit of a clunky play. Fecundity and Hunter's Insight will be easier to get going in the next couple turns. Not paying for the Ristic Study again. Choosing Bear. Let's go to combat. I'm going to send Ayula into Champ and the 2-2 into Riku. Spread out the damage a little bit. Keep the two epic decks off their game. I would like to work on Elsha a little bit, but they've also got tools that, like, I don't really want to make them an enemy at the moment. So opponent's down to 24 and 26. 4 commander on Champ, and we pass like that. Explosive Vegetation for opponent. This time they have blue mana if they want to copy it. Let's see. And they do. That's a lot of mana. 2 Explosive Vegetations. There's a Hull Breach on Parallel Lives and unfortunately on our Door of Destinies. I was hoping for the door to stick around a little bit. Swiftfoot Boots coming into play. Yep. Triggering all the stuff. Champ tapping up a lot of mana. Nope, there's the Enduring Ideal. It is on the stack. He spent a few minutes trying to tap out his mana. I'm not sure what he was trying to get done. If he was trying to work out some math for something, maybe just paying the Ristic Study, but I don't know. Probably got to be like a Sphere of Safety right here, Ghostly Prison. Or actually, no, probably Paradox Haze. It's usually the one you want to go for first. So, Champ is epic. Enduring Ideal. Gets himself, yes, goes for the Sphere of Safety first. That will slow us down a bit. Mana is not exactly great for us. I got a little bit better last turn with the land and the rampant growth, but, you know, now potentially going to get chewed up by the Sphere of Safety. It'll bring it back to our turn. There's a Scry, Icon of Ancestry on top. Let me read this again. It's been a minute. So, 3, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the type get +1/+1. All right, anthems are cool. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from the chosen type. Put it into the hand. Rest on the bottom. It's fine. It's fine. I guess we can keep that. So put it on top. I certainly don't want to draw another land. That's not what I'm looking to do. So it's better than a land. Let's play a land. Still a Ristic Study. We got to think about, maybe thinking about trying to fire off the Hunter's Insight. But let's see. That's 6 power. If we put this into play, that'll give us 8 power. So we're still a bear short of being able to use the Mosswort Bridge. So I think that puts me on Icon of Ancestry. Yeah, Ristic Study, you say. We have 5 mana left. Actually, yeah, we can just pay. Finally paying for some Ristic Studies. Choosing Bear. And, you know, we have a choice right here between Hunter's Insight and Fecundity. My one problem with... Well, Champ's epic, so he's not going to wheel. Elsha might still have wheels, though. My problem with Hunter's Insight, if we draw a bunch right here, then there's some chance that we get wheeled like crazy. But maybe we have enough card draw. You know what? We have enough card draw value in play. I think we can live with it. So let's go to combat. I think I'm going to stay same thing as last time. Ayula into Champ and Rune Claw into Riku. We'll pay 1 for the attack. No blocks. We'll Hunter's Insight on the Ayula. Not paying. Use that mana for the attack, sadly. Hopefully all this resolves. We do need some extra cards in this moment. Damage hits. We get to draw. Very nice. Opponent's up to 9 commander, so slowly getting there. We draw some stuff. You know, not really what I was looking for, to be completely honest. We drew a Splendid Reclamation, so I guess we ditch a forest. I'm not sure that Splendid Reclamation is the route I would go for this deck, unless you're, like, continuously facing mill and wheel opponents. They did have Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse in the deck, but I don't know. I don't think that's good enough. I'd rather just take, like, Skyshroud Claim, Ranger's Path, Hunting Wilds. I think all of that is going to be much more consistent than Splendid, I think. I'd even take what's the 5-mana one that gives you lands equal to power, because I think it's pretty easy to get Ayula up to like 4 power. Like you cast Ayula, cast a bear, then around turn 5 or so, if you can get the 5-mana one that, you know, get you like 4, maybe 4 or 6 lands, depending on Ayula's power, it's a pretty good place to be. That's a Zendikar Resurgent. Those are really good. And that's probably a card that needs to go in this deck, honestly. It has both mana ramp and card draw, the things that win games. Didn't catch a bear and all of that. Nah, you know, maybe the creature count is a little bit lower than it needs to be. Certainly some tweaking that could still go on, I think. Mind Unbound for opponent, so trying to get more card draw going. Doesn't look like they've found their combo yet, but Rhystic Study still in play. Mind Unbound, they can't be too far away. Dryad of the Elysian Grove, yep. They'll get to draw a card. 2 Dryad of the Elysian Groves. So they can play additional lands. Yep, that's pretty good. There's an Exploration. So 3 additional lands per turn. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. There's at least 1. I haven't been following their land count. At least 2. We have Creeping Renaissance. Return all cards of the chosen type from your graveyard to your hand. It's okay. It's recursion. It's not my favorite recursion ever. Wow, opponent has so much mana. Just a casual 10 left over. 2 cards in hand. They thinking about going for it? Champion's Helm. Riku thankfully down to 1 card, but if we all... Well, Champ won't be casting anything. Actually, does that epic spell get cast? Well, then he should be able to pay for it. I don't think he has that much else going on. Opponent's going to sacrifice the Pyrite Spellbomb. Believe that was sent to the face of Riku. Sunbeam Spellbomb. You gain 5 life if they sack it, and they can draw a card. Firebrand Sprite Dragon will trigger. Rhystic Study will trigger. So, Champ's got this Mirage Mirror over there. One thing to think about is that Ayula as a deck has some weaknesses. It doesn't have like a wide variety of effects necessarily available to it. You use up a lot of deck slots running bears. Something like Mirage Mirror could be a very reasonable way to kind of fill in some gaps of some things going on. Like, this isn't a highly aggressive game, but let's just suppose for a minute there was one really aggro opponent at the table that didn't like what we were doing. The fact that they've got Mirage Mirror and Sphere of Safety over there, you can copy their Sphere of Safety if we had a Mirage Mirror and then, you know, not get aggroed to death. Just one little wrinkle that you can add to make things a little bit more difficult for your opponents. You know, if there's mana doublers in play, you can copy stuff like mana doublers. You know, copying the Zendikar Resurgent would be pretty good. So something like a Mirage Mirror might make a lot of sense for this deck just because, again, it can kind of fill in some gaps that this deck doesn't have great access to. And, you know, just like really kind of rounds out your edges a little bit. Thran Dynamo in for opponent. Ghoul Caller's Bell triggers Firebrand Archer or Sprite Dragon. Voltaic Key, Firebrand Archer or Sprite Dragon, Rhystic Study. Feeding a lot of cards to the Riku opponent. I don't know how much I love that. Especially with the mana doubler. But they're also chipping their life away slowly with this Firebrand Archer, which is good news. And they've got this 10/10 Sprite Dragon. Untaps the Thran Dynamo, gets themselves a bunch of extra mana. Darksteel Pendant, trigger all the stuff again. Opponent down to 15, that's Sprite Dragon. Starting to look pretty lethal. 2 opponents at 15, it's got 11 counters on it. Opponent's still got a little bit of mana left. The average CMC of their deck appears to be 1, so I would not be surprised if they've got more cards left to cast. They're going to scry with the Darksteel Pendant. Always kind of forget about this one. Paying 1 to scry 1, it's not the worst thing ever. What's Sunset Pyramid do? Is that 2 to scry? Sunset Pyramid is 2 to scry, which is like a little bit overcosted. I think that should have been a 1 to activate, but I get they were kind of going for like a uniform 2/2/2 kind of thing on Sunset Pyramid. That was a card that I was using before they started like really kind of getting into the red impulse-based draw, and now they're finally starting to add some card draw in white, cards like Mangara. So Skull Clamp also getting a lot better in white. So Sunset Pyramid is a card I've used in colors that don't draw particularly well. There is a big difference in mana efficiency between Darksteel Pendant and Sunset Pyramid. Sunset Pyramid, however, does allow you to draw, so there's a lot of upside there. But you can also compare this to like Crystal Ball, which I think is 3-in-1 if I'm not mistaken. Crystal Ball is correct, 3-in-1 to Scry 2. Scrying 2, pretty good. Just maybe a touch slow at 3 mana. But if you're really trying to find something specific in your deck, Crystal Ball does a very good budget Sensei's Divining Top. There's the Paradox Haze for Champ off of the Enduring Ideal copy. So we got a Paradox Haze, 2 upkeeps for himself, so on the next turn he'll get 2 enchantments. Oh no, he went no attacks with the Sprite Dragon. We get to scry. Freeze Cry off Life Crafters, pretty cool. Freeze Cries are really good. Miri's Guile is a super sweet card. That's a Ghost Quarter. We've already got Field of Ruin. There's a Mystifying Maze in play that we need to be careful of. Might actually just hang on to that one. Ghost Quarter doesn't cost additional mana to activate, which I like, so play the Ghost Quarter. I think I'm just going to go ahead and pop that right now, actually. So pop the Mystifying Maze. I'm not particularly interested in what that has to offer. I think he's thinking about making a copy of it with Mirage Mirror. If that's the case, we could hit it with Field of Ruin. Oh, he's going to copy his Sphere of Safety. That's fine. Totally okay with that. Wasn't planning to send a lot his way. Yeah, especially with the Sphere of Safety. Now there's multiple things out there. This Zendikar Resurgent is a problem for me. That card makes you lose games, so... I have some idea of what Champ's deck does. It's going to take a minute for that deck to get going. So Mystifying Maze down. Look at a land. Although now we have 2 lands in our graveyard, so Splendid Reclamation may be getting a little bit better. Let's play the Snake Umbra. Put it on Ayula. Heuristic Study is going to trigger. How are we going to handle the rest of our turn here? We've got 3, 4, 5 mana up. Thinking about a Rogue's Passage. Yeah, I think I'm going to Rogue's Passage. Try to keep the pressure up. Swing into 7 Deadly Sins. And hit Ayula with the Rogue's Passage. So no blocks for opponent. Can't be blocked. Opponent down to 9 life. 12 commander will draw with the Snake Umbra ability. Those Umbras are also decent because they give you protection from board wipes, so that's always a good thing. Kamal Summons, completely useless right now because we have no bears in hand. We're in kind of a weird spot where we have a lot of effects that we can activate, but not enough mana to do all the stuff that we need to do. We could really use a mana doubler. Oh, I think I also added Bear Umber to this deck because flavor and awesomeness. Bear Umber would do nice things for us. We could really get some extra mana going. And that's a Rite of Replication kicked. On Firebrand Archer, seems bad. Although, a single spell probably just about kills Champ. But Elsha's thinking not. That's a counterspell. Also down for that, triggers the Firebrand Archer and the Sprite Dragon. It's a big-time counterspell right there. With that, I mean, they cast a couple spells, and then, I hope opponent doesn't have any. Oh, they've got a counterspell of their own. It's gonna resolve. It's gonna resolve. This is gonna be bad. That does eat up at least a little bit of mana, but there's still a Zendikar Resurgent and 5 cards in hand, so it's pretty bad. Creatures draw them more. Riku doubles everything. It's actually pretty scary. 2 spells with 5 Firebrand Archers in play. It's 10 damage. We're at a reasonably healthy 29, but we could just get melted by many Firebrand Archers, so that's a thing to be careful of. Oh my, he just copied the Rite of Replication. There's going to be 10 Firebrand Archers. 3 spells, and it's good game. It's not good. Champ's going to Mirage Mirror on the Sphere of Safety. Sure. Yeah, that's 10 Firebrand Archers. See how many spells opponents have. Non-creature spell. There's 1. That's a Mystical Tutor. There's 10 damage to everyone. And that is why this Sprite Dragon should have attacked. I've talked about it. Never leave damage on the board. You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot that they needed to protect themselves against with the Sprite Dragon. I think they definitely need to be swinging in last turn. Especially, we could see the Zendikar Resurgent and the Heuristic Study. That's a recipe for disaster. It will be very difficult to survive this. If they have a creature, they can cast it and then draw the card that they tutor for, which is probably Eternal Dominion. They're going to copy the Mystical Tutor. Kind of a weird thing because it shuffles. It's unless they can draw at instant speed, they will only get one of those. We're down to 19. Champ's down to 4. Gets Eternal Dominion again. Not messing themselves up by the shuffle. I've definitely done that on rare occasions. Whenever I've tutored twice. Darksteel Plate, and we're going to die. Champ goes down. Actually, opponent's got this Codex Shredder. They can mill the Eternal Dominion. But if they have anything other than, lands or creatures in their hand, we in trouble. Down to 9. Opponent's going to mill with the Codex Shredder, so it's not going to be the Eternal Dominion. But another spell, and we go down. Some hope for the Elsha. Take 2 spells to kill them. I've been trying to employ some of these artifacts as ways to counteract Vampiric Tutor or Mystical Tutor. Haven't had a lot of success yet, but I figure if I keep running it enough, eventually it'll happen. Opponent's going to equip the Darksteel Plate. Not dead yet. Oh my god, are they out of stuff? Sends a 2/4 over to Elsha. Ooh, opponent says they drew 8 lands off of their last 11 cards. Nice. We've got a chance. We've got a chance, although opponent... I mean, they gotta take this out. Like, there's no world in which they can't take out all of this. Here comes Elsha. Yep. What do we do about that flyer? That flyer is actually pretty bad for us. Opponent's at 16. Don't exactly have lethal damage from anything that we've been doing. That would get us... That's 6. If we had that, it's still only 9 damage. Ooh, I don't think opponent paid for the heuristic study. That's a dangerous proposition because if opponent finds an instant, it's real bad. Yeah, they found an instant. There's an arcane denial. So we're going to go down. Unless Elsha's got action. Yeah, they definitely should have attacked on their last turn with this thing. There was no reason to hold that back. Now we die to massive nonsense. Triggers resolve. Down we go. I mean, opponent can actually still win this. They still got a 12-12 flyer. And that beats everything over here currently. So things to think about, like, even if we take down this opponent, I don't know that we have a great way through this flyer. We haven't found any artifact removal. Now, if we were able to take them out, we'd have a lot of time, especially before the Firebrand Archer thing happened. If our life total was still around 30 or wherever it was, then, you know, we have a little bit of time to deal with the dragon. But without having the answer in hand, we could dig a little bit, but... I would say we probably still lose to them over the course of a few more turns, just based on what's going on. And the fact that, like, Elsha finds more cards and their CMC appears to be 1. I don't like our chances against that. So, yeah, they take it down with the dragon right there. They most definitely played in a way that got us killed. I would not call it the safe or conservative line. And, you know, it nearly got them killed also. One more spell, and then the massive Firebrand Archer army gets them also. So I think they lucked out just a teeny bit right there, but unfortunately it did get us killed in the process. So things to think about with this deck. It's a tribal deck. Tribal decks, there's definitely a lot of separation right now between, like, the not super high-powered tribes and any sort of, like, build around your commander in a generically good way sort of decks. So, like, you know, Elsha's just running a bunch of things that are good for their deck is very different than running a lot of bears that, like, Grizzly Bears, not highly impactful. Again, Ayula makes them a little better, but doesn't make them insane by any means. So, with things getting so strong, I think it is more of a struggle for these go-wide tribal decks that don't have, like, insane amounts of support and utterly insane commanders. So, that's just always going to be a thing. And so one of the things with mono green is that regardless of whatever I say on my Twitter, mono green does actually have weaknesses, but the way that it covers them up is usually just by, like, spewing out so many creatures onto the board so quickly and then probably finding a crater hoof to just annihilate everything that it doesn't actually have to deal with, like, problems that occur as the game goes long. Like, green doesn't tend to have great creature removal. There's a few things that do it. They don't get run all the time because, again, with green is just like, it's the proactive color. Everything it wants to do is just proactive, slam more creatures, draw more cards, slam more creatures after that, and then just, like, trample over everything. And that usually solves most of the problems that might come up. Ayula, unfortunately, doesn't have that level of, like, power and consistency as your mono green good stuff decks, like a Goreclaw or something like that. So it will actually expose some of the weaknesses of the color, so that's, you know, something to keep in mind. And that's where you're going to want a little bit of removal. I added this Nev's Disc. You could probably add, like, an Azuri's Predation if you wanted. Bane of Progress is also really good, just blowing stuff up. Because, again, you're going to have to, like, figure these things out. There's a Beast Within in the deck. But yeah, having the right types of removal for different things is going to be a good idea. And luckily there is a little bit of removal built into Ayula. We didn't really get to use it because we didn't draw that many bears. Our hand got super awkward after the wheel, and that was certainly not great. Other things to think about. Didn't love this Splendid Reclamation. Like, it was almost good. If we had another turn, we could have got 2 lands with it, which would have made it on par with, like, Ranger's Path and everything else. But I would absolutely just take a Sky Shroud claim in place of that. You could probably use a mana doubler in here. I noticed we were choking on mana. If we had a mana doubler somewhere along the way, we would have been able to actually use all those activated abilities and just, like, do more. So I was feeling not great about that. So this Fecundity, you can run this, but it also helps opponents. You know, I think I would run a Skull Clamp before I run that. Because the same sort of thing, if your stuff's getting blown up, then, you know, Skull Clamp at least only helps you, and it's, you know, it's going to give you a little more power, and is just super mana efficient. There are a lot of 3-drops in the deck, so that's a thing too. Bringing down the 3-drops probably going to be a good idea. But yeah, the thing I talked about early in the video is you want cards that are going to allow you to cast multiple cards throughout the game. So like Lurking Predators. This thing just has the ability to spew creatures out. You slam this and then, you know, as opponents keep casting stuff, especially that Elsha opponent, we would have definitely hit some bears and been able to do some things. What else? Wild Pair? For this deck, you have a lot of 2/2s. I would definitely add that. What other green enchantments kind of dig creatures out? I forget now. I feel like there's one more that does it. Another card that I wouldn't say no to is Kindred Summons. So it's a little bit of mana, I get it. But if you have like, let's say 3 bears in play, you pay this, you get 3 more bears in play. That's 3 more Ayula triggers. So I'd probably add one of these. In this game too, we were also punished a little bit just by going last. We were going last, we didn't like hit a mana rock or anything like that. That stuff matters, you know, if we were able to get going a little bit quicker, it would have been really good for us. Parallel Lives seems a bit narrow in this deck. Let's find out how many things actually make bear tokens. So it's actually a little better than I thought. There are 8 things, and many of them are repeatable. That's actually a pretty big deal. Parallel Lives, I mean, it's still a little bit narrow. I'm not sure that I would run it. You'll need the game to go a little bit longer. You'll need to produce way more mana than you produce this game to really get there. We do have a Cage Sun. Never drew into it, though. I added a Rishkar's Expertise earlier. I would certainly add this to the deck. What was that card I talked about earlier? It's the ramp spell out of one of the older Commander decks. While we're here, I would probably also add a Garruk Primal Hunter to the deck. Traverse the Outlands is the card that I'm thinking of. I feel like this is probably a little bit more expensive than I want it to be. I don't know if that card's ever been reprinted. But the fact that Ayula can get to 4 power pretty quickly, I think makes Traverse a great piece of mana ramp that's going to get you a lot of lands. So we're a little bit over right here. We definitely need to remove some stuff. So I'll cut the Pathbreaker Ibex. I just kind of threw that in. Nev's Disc isn't a must, but certainly something worth considering. You could go Bane of Progress if you wanted. I might look to cut a 3-drop or 2 along the way. I actually don't like this Elemental Bond at all because you don't have that many big creatures in the deck. Yeah, let's get rid of Elemental Bond. Use one of the draw equal to power type cards because Ayula should have at least 4 power most of the time, and even drawing 4 is fine. Creeping Renaissance was not wowing me in this game, but I guess there wasn't really a lot of there was a Time Twister and then not a lot of board wipes. So, you know, if it's super late game and you need to get stuff back, I get it. Personally, I like a Praetor's Council, but Praetor's Council is a ton of mana. Just get everything back. Why you have to make choices? I did add this Bear Umbra to the deck. That'll double up your mana. That'll also protect Ayula. I think that's going to be a really good call. Probably a touch more artifact and enchantment removal. Ghostly Prisons are always bad. Evolution Charm, really not doing much for me. And I guess I'll just get rid of the Creeping Renaissance. I know it's good, but just for the sake of getting down to 100 here. So yeah, there's a few things I would add to the deck. I would change around just a couple of the ramp options. Like I said, 6 creatures did not import, so that gave us like deck slots to play with. And that being the case, I definitely want things that are going to generate multiple creatures. That's going to be Wild Pair. That's going to be Lurking Predators. Potentially this Kindred Summons. Skull Clamp for efficient draw, a little more power. That type of stuff. So that's really where I want to be. I want to be like churning through a lot of my deck because I know I need to look at a lot of cards to make the bears matter. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Kind of a wild game with the Epic decks. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, in addition to my TCG affiliate player link, I now have an affiliate link with Flipside Gaming, an LGS from my hometown. You can use the promo code REPLAY to save 10% on your next order over $10. Both affiliate links are in the description below. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below.